I hope while you're listening to this podcast today that you are walking or running or doing something you enjoy. But I want to ask you a question. What is limiting you from achieving all of the amazing things in life that you strive to achieve? What's on your bucket list? What are those limiting beliefs that are holding you back from being who you aspire to be? Mindset is key. And mindset is one of the 7 elements of our Plant Power Blueprint. And it's one that we focus on as a core component of our coaching program because it supersedes almost everything else in terms of not only allowing you to achieve your health and fitness goals, but to achieve your life goals. And today we want to do a little bit of a deep dive on mindset. And to do that, I have an amazing guest that I want to introduce you to. I'm Dr. Daphne Bascom. Welcome to the Thrive on Plants podcast. And I'm here today with Kaitlin McCloud. Welcome to Thrive on Plants.
Thank you so much, Daphne. I'm so excited to be here.
So, where are we right now?
So we are in Rockville, Utah, in one of the most gorgeous places I have ever been in my life.
And why are we here?
We are here for the Momentum Retreat. So it's really a physical and mental, just basically a boot camp to get us motivated and talk about our limiting beliefs and tackle some major physical and mental challenges.
And Katie, when you first thought about, well, I want to rewind and I'd love for you to share with the community your vegan journey. But as you're doing so, I'd love for you to give some perspective on, did you think mindset was going to be such a big piece of what you focused on when you started your coaching program?
Not really. Like mindset, I thought it was going to be like, okay, you give me the plan and I follow that plan and I don't have to think and I'll just do it and I'll get the results. But mindset is critical for it. And that's probably why all of the other times I've tried losing weight or fitness programs haven't really worked, because this time VSA really doesn't drill into you. What's the word I'm trying to say? Really like frames this whole experience around mindset. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the responsibility really is on you to change your perspective and change how you're thinking about approaching your health and fitness.
And Katie, do you mind sharing, when did you become vegan? And what you mentioned that you've tried to lose weight before. So what's your health journey been like up till now?
Yeah, so I have been vegan for a little over 5 years. I went vegan in December of 2019 after watching several documentaries. I'll say I started out for health reasons. So I considered myself plant-based. Uh-huh. And then I saw some more documentaries like Earthlings, mm-hmm. and that was it. It was vegan overnight after watching that one. But my health journey has been pretty up and down. When I joined VSA, I remember looking at my Fitbit like weight tracker, and it was like almost a perfect squiggle line, just up, down, up, down. Like I've lost the same 60 pounds multiple times. And I've struggled with my weight my whole life. Really probably since I was in middle school. Mm-hmm. When I was a kid, I was super active. I really enjoyed like being outside and playing all the time. And I went to school with my mom. She's a teacher. Well, she actually just retired this year, but I used to go to school with her, and I would play in the gym after school every day. And I was very fortunate to have a really awesome gym teacher, Mr. Jones, in elementary school, that would let me play in the gym and just use all whatever equipment I wanted, doing pull-ups and playing on the ropes. And he probably stayed way longer than he wanted to because he was letting me have so much fun in there, and just really encouraged being healthy and made me feel like I could be an athlete. And I believed that when I was in elementary school. And then middle school was very different. I had a very different gym teacher that just was not very supportive. And that's kind of when it switched for me. I went through puberty, of course, so I started gaining weight and just became very self-conscious and worried about, not keeping up with the other athletic girls in school and scared of being called lazy. And then in high school, I joined tennis, and that helped. I definitely got back to a healthier zone, but I gave it up to focus more on school, and then the weight just kind of kept coming on. I tried so many different diets. I tried like Atkins and keto and low carb and, whatever I could find really. And I had like maybe very short-term success with all of those, but would end up gaining it right back and then some. And yeah, it wasn't until joining VSA that I've finally gotten to a place where I feel comfortable and healthy and have hit a healthy BMI as an adult.
And that's an amazing journey. Yeah. And what has been different? Why do you think all of the other, and I'll call them diets, didn't work, but your coaching program, working with a coach, focusing on nutrition, focusing on physical fitness, focusing all the things we do, mindset, nutrition, movement, sleep, stress, community, understanding your data. What's different?
I mean, everything you just said, like it's a lot more complicated than just Googling a plan and trying to stick to it. First of all, a lot of the diets that I was trying were definitely not sustainable. I remember trying like fasting and all of the different low carb versions of things that were just like really unsustainable. They weren't realistic to stick to for any long period of time. And that's really the difference with VSA, is that none of it is ever framed as a diet. It's always framed as a lifestyle. And the fact that you go over all of the different resources, including stress and body image and fitness, and going through like the different kinds of movement, like finding movement that you actually enjoy, rather than just like forcing yourself as a slog to, like
I got to do it.
Yeah, earn your calories, So it has been very different. And I think probably the like jewel of the program is really the community, which I didn't think it would be, because I'm kind of an introvert. I don't normally like to share the things that I'm going through, especially something like personal, like weight loss. I kind of want to like keep it hidden. But the VSA community is like the most supportive community I could possibly think of. And it's really motivating to see all of these amazing women pushing themselves and doing like things that I didn't think that you could do when you're older or struggling with something. And so when I see these ladies like doing pull-ups and stuff and they're in their 60s, I'm like, wow, I have no excuse. I need to get myself together. So that's really amazing. And I think the accountability built in there is really, really helpful, because you know that like, hey, my friend is going to see that I didn't do what I said I was going to do on my post yesterday. So I need to like make sure that I'm on it, because she's going to ask me about it.
And accountability is important. And I don't know the other programs you've tried, but I would agree with you. Our community is really special and different, in a way that it's hard to identify what it is, but you just feel that everyone's always cheering you on. Not that it's all rainbows and unicorns. There's a lot of things you see when things don't go well, you see when things do go well, but we all can lead by example in trying to show people a path forward.
Definitely. Yeah. When people share their struggles, actually, it's still super inspiring, because you can kind of understand, okay, what slowed them down? What was the obstacle? And you can relate to it, because everybody goes through things like that, and it makes it more realistic. You're right. Like the rainbows and unicorns, it's great when it's always positive news, but that's not reality.
No, and life is not always rainbows and unicorns. Do you mind sharing how much weight you've lost since you've been working with your coach?
Yeah. So total, I have lost, so I was over 200 pounds at my heaviest. Now I'm around 125.
Wow.
So yeah. So I've lost about 75 pounds total. So going vegan, I lost probably about 50 pounds. Right. And then I lost the last like 25, So I've lost probably 10 pounds here and there and then gained it back, even while vegan. But through VSA is the first time that I've actually hit a healthy BMI in the 120s range, and lost probably 25 pounds in the program fairly quickly. Not as fast as I've lost weight using other programs that were not sustainable, but in quick enough to where I was really happy with my progress. And, you got like the little motivation every time. But yeah.
And it sounds like, just thinking about you playing in the gym after school, that fitness was part of your life for a long time and then maybe fell off a little bit. What is your movement like now? Are you in the gym? Are you focused on running, resistance training? What makes you happy?
Yeah. So when I first joined VSA, which today's actually my 1 year anniversary, which is
happy
really
anniversary.
Cool. It's so cool that I get to share it with you guys. So when I first joined, I was focusing on strength training and did that 3 days a week. And then I would do some core and a little bit of cardio on 2 or 3 days a week. And I really loved that. And it got me to where I wanted to be. I lost quite a bit of weight with that and felt really strong and really empowered. One of my goals actually was I work with a lot of heavy equipment, and one of my goals was to be able to lift that equipment and that material by myself. Normally I would have to ask like a big strong guy at work to help me out, but I am able to do it by myself now for the most part. There's some heavy things that I still need help with, but I didn't think that it was going to be as empowering as it was. I thought, okay, I'm going to feel healthy and this is going to be great, but it really makes you feel capable of handling yourself like in the world. Now I never thought I would say this, but I'm actually focusing more on running. I absolutely hated running. That started in middle school for sure. Now I'm actually really enjoying it, and that still kind of blows my mind. But I'm training now, hopefully for a full marathon this year. I don't know if that's possible because I've only just run my first 10K, not in a race, but just outside. And I'm going to be definitely signing up for a half marathon this year, hopefully with my mother-in-law. That'll be awesome. But yeah, so now I've kind of shifted focus. I'm working more on my running, but I'm still really enjoying my strength training. It's surprising that it's really fun for me. I thought that it was going to be kind of grueling and that I wouldn't enjoy it, but it always feels amazing after I'm done. Sometimes it feels amazing while I'm doing it. Not all the time. Sometimes it's kind of brutal, but yeah, I really enjoy it. It feels just like mentally uplifting at the very beginning of the day. I've taken care of something really hard, and that just kind of gives me the confidence to carry on through the rest of my day.
And it sounds like you struggle to identify yourself as a runner.
Definitely. Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, because I feel like I don't look like a runner. In my mind, I picture a runner as like the skinny athletic girls in high school. Like I can see them right now in my head, and I'm like, nope, I still don't look like that, even though I feel healthy. So it's hard to convince myself that I am capable of, running a marathon or even just running every day, even though I have been doing it So I am a runner, but
Uh-huh.
it's hard to identify as one.
You are a runner, by the way. How have so I'd love to talk a little bit about your journey coming to the retreat, because we did a lot of hard things prior leading up to this. We read Never Finished by David Goggins. I don't know if you like the book or not.
I loved it.
What did you like about the book?
So I loved, first of all, that he cusses a lot in the book, and that is right up my alley. I cuss a lot. I will try not to here because my parents are listening. But I love how like real he is. He doesn't try to like sugarcoat anything or feel like a kind of cheesy motivational speaker. Like he's very authentic. I loved like so many parts of the book. Parts about like embracing discomfort. That one really like hit me hard because a lot of times like you hope for, let's say you're shooting for some kind of hard goal. You want everything to go really smoothly and everything to go perfect and the stars to align to make it work for you. And I really liked his mentality where it was like, no, I want it to be like the hardest possible. If it's raining, I want it to be raining harder. If it's hot, I want it to be even hotter. Like, because then if you still complete it, even in those really tough conditions, then you're even more of a badass because you were able to handle it even when it wasn't ideal. So I really liked that aspect of it. And I also really liked his mentality about being never finished. Like, completing the goals that you set out. It's not that you're not celebrating those goals, but when you run a 10K, you feel like this great like sense of accomplishment, but then you're like, okay, it's weird because you feel sort of like deflated almost like minutes later because you've already achieved the thing that was on your list. So now what? And his mentality is like, okay, go for the next thing. Like, what can you challenge yourself with that's just even harder than that? That's, maybe not even possible, but it's something that you can push for, like aim for the moon. And even if you don't make it, you'll land amongst the stars kind of a mentality.
And that's, so Never Finished is a core part of what we're really talking about at the retreat. And I love all the points that you enjoyed from the book. Not everyone likes his intensity.
Yeah.
I do.
He is kind of like out there, you know, like, yeah, it's, you have to like be tricky about who you recommend it to because it might scare them off. But yeah, initially it does kind of freak you out when you're, hearing him because he is very intense. But it's also like it wipes away any excuses you have to not do something. Like so many aspects of his story make you like really realize, wow, he started with like not just nothing, like almost negative nothing. He had so many barriers in his way and he was still able to do all of these crazy things. I have like the tiniest inconvenience that's stopping me from doing something that I want to do. Like that's nothing. That's no excuse. So, yeah.
And what is it that you want to do?
There are a lot of things I want to do. Physically, I would love to run a marathon, like I said, a full marathon, which is just incredibly scary and never, ever thought I would want to do that. For other goals, I would absolutely love to open my own vegan cafe art gallery. That's been a dream of mine for a really long time. But I'm really scared to do it. It's a huge undertaking and risk, and I have a million fears kind of surrounding it about, disappointing other people. Like that's not what I went to school for. I'm a mechanical engineer. So it's very like off of left field of what I trained to do. And it's really risky and scary. So it's, yeah.
But so you mind if we unwind that a little bit?
Sure.
what are your limiting beliefs in terms of, I mean, risky and scary, I get it. I've changed careers multiple times, and I know the fear of stepping into something new. I know the fear of losing your identity. I mean, you're a mechanical engineer. If I go do this art gallery restaurant thing, what am I now? But whether it's a marathon, whether it's your dream of opening up what sounds to me like an amazing place, what limiting beliefs are holding you back?
So definitely the identity piece is an important one. I noticed a lot of like the homeworks that we did for this retreat were a lot of self-reflection on like why you believe the things that that are holding you back. And a lot of mine were kind of centered around like not wanting to disappoint people. And I know I have like a people pleasing kind of mentality because it feels good, you know, and you get like reinforced when you do things that help and support what other people think of you. You get that reinforcement because they're happy. For me, one of the aspects, the identity piece, is I'm a mechanical engineer, and I feel like as a woman, I should represent women in STEM, and because we're badass and we need like more smart, strong women. And so I feel like a sort of obligation to like keep holding that title. And there's like a bit of pride in there too. I am proud when people ask me what I do, and I'm like, oh, I'm a mechanical engineer. It feels good to say it. But my passion has always been about art. Even all through engineering school, I was always more passionate about art than engineering. And I think a lot of the limiting belief is honestly that I'm scared that I'm not talented enough in the thing that I'm passionate about or original enough. Like I look around and I see all these amazing artists and all of these amazing vegan restaurants. I'm like, why would I need to add to this? Like there's already so many awesome places. How could I even compete? But then I see a lot of places where I'm like, man, if they can do it, like I'm pretty good. I could definitely do that, you know? So it's kind of like a battle that I have in my head a lot.
And that's a tough battle, especially it sounds like a little bit of combination people pleasing and perfectionism, which we all have. I won't generalize and say we all have. I share that with you, so I completely understand. And it is hard because from a young age, we're rewarded for doing well, whether it's our grades, whether it's, excelling in sports, whether it's achieving the things that people either want or expect us to achieve. There's a little bit of dopamine that comes from that positive feedback cycle. And not wanting to disappoint people is a big one.
Yeah, totally. It is. Just having other people's expectations of you and wondering like what they'll think. Like, I know when I mentioned this dream to one of my friends in high school, maybe this probably isn't where it started, but it definitely reinforced it. He mentioned like, no, like anybody could open a bakery. At the time I wanted to open a bakery, but still similar. I've obviously been like very passionate about food and art for a long time. But so at the time I wanted to open a bakery / art gallery. And he was like, no, anybody could open a bakery, but not anybody could think in, complex terms and do math and engineering and stuff. So you like have an obligation to use your brain to work in a field that you're capable of working in. And so there's like a little bit of guilt there of giving up, like, even though nobody can ever take away my degree in engineering, it feels like a disservice somehow to the training to abandon it.
Understood. Yeah. Katie, thinking about your limiting beliefs, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this weekend. and in particular, the Momentum Misogi to start. What was your journey, and what were you carrying up the mountain, and what did you leave at the top of the mountain, and how did you come back? Who is Katie now at the end of this weekend?
So that's a lot to, to unpack. So the limiting beliefs that I brought up the mountain were my fear of self-sabotage. I just have this nagging like worry that I will revert back to my old bad habits, even though I've worked so hard to build all of these healthy habits into my life of eating healthy and food prepping, and I know what I need to do, and working out in the morning and feeling really good, and I know what makes me feel good, but I also know like different tendencies that I have to either overeat or not push myself as hard as I could. So that was definitely one of the big ones that I brought with me. And some of the other ones, like I mentioned, just fear of taking risks. I do consider myself a pretty brave person, but I also shy away from things if I'm scared that there's a chance of failure. I think that's a lot of people have that, but I definitely fall into that trap sometimes of staying in my comfort zone because I know that I am not risking anything. I also put fear of uncertainty that kind of goes in with the fear of taking risks. If I don't know what the outcome is going to be, I don't often put myself out there. And also the fear of failing and not being able to be a successful artist or chef or, whatever my career goals would be, because I'm scared that I'm not talented enough or original enough to contribute something meaningful and that would thrive. For the Misogi, my initial fear of it, I was so nervous about it, even though I trained for it for months. I trained for it. I was so nervous. The night we got here, I did not sleep. I didn't sleep at all, and I was just so anxious and just full of dread for the cold plunge and for the Misogi, because I just thought that something would go wrong. I would want to turn around, or I'm not usually a quitter. Once I set myself to do something, I don't typically quit, but I was just so scared, oh my gosh, what if I really want to and all of these people are going to be in this group with me and they're going to see me quit, and I was just so in my head about it. And then when we did it, first of all, the cold plunge was scary and it hurt, but it actually wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I made it. I think maybe I could have even gone longer. It was not fun. This is coming from somebody who's from Alaska, so you would think I would be able to handle cold, but I really don't like it. That's why I left. But so that was really challenging. I'm really proud of myself for doing it though. And for the Misogi, hiking up the mountain with our heavy packs, I trained with 40 pounds. And when we were asked, okay, how much weight do you want to carry? I was like, well, I trained with 40 pounds. And then there was this kind of dead space of, well, how much do you want to put in your pack? And I was like, well, all right, let's just do it. Let's do the 40 pounds. So I carried up, it ended up being 42 pounds with my water. And I thought, even while I was doing it, that, okay, I know I'm going to be able to do this when we started, because I told myself, you're not quitting. So I knew I was going to finish no matter what. But I wasn't sure if I was going to finish in a timely manner, for one thing. I thought I was going to be really slow. And I wasn't sure if I was going to go up to Angel's Landing. because I saw the pictures of it and it looks beautiful, like breathtakingly beautiful, but also absolutely terrifying. It's just sheer cliffs on both sides of you, and you really only have this tiny chain to hang on to, and it's just scary, like life affirming scary. And I was really hesitant about it, and when they were asking, okay, who's going up, I almost didn't raise my hand, and then I'm like, nope, this is it. This is, when else am I going to have this opportunity? I need to, it's going to feel so amazing when I go up there. And so I went up there, and I was really scared while I was doing it. Pretty much the whole time while I was going up, I was terrified. And I was really scared about coming back down too, because I knew I was going to have to look down when I was going up. But it actually wasn't, again, it wasn't that bad. Like the cold plunge, like you build up these things in your head to be just like crippling. But when you do them, you realize like, okay, it's hard and it's scary, but you can still do it even when you're scared.
And that's the important thing. One, that you tried, because you'll never know if you don't try. And two, the stories we tell ourselves are almost worse than the reality. That's what I hear you saying.
Yes.
That you had built up this, this first day into something that kept you up at night so you couldn't sleep. And you realize that you're stronger than you think you are. Yeah.
Yeah. That's definitely been the case for like my whole VSA journey. Is really, that would be like the theme, that I'm stronger than I thought I was.
Thinking, so with that in mind, and knowing that you have some goals, and you don't have to answer this question, but how are you going to assimilate what has transpired over the past 5 months? Because it really has been a 5-month journey. This is the culmination. The reading the book, going through our annual audit, doing our limiting beliefs, identifying our alter ego. And I'd love to know if you called on your alter ego while you were trying to climb to Angel's Landing.
Oh, I did. Oh, yes.
With the good language or the bad language?
Oh, definitely the bad language. My not PG version.
Yep. But coming out of this can't be the end. There has to be I've done this, this weekend was meant to, again, carry some momentum forward for you to really assimilate some of these cookies in your cookie jar, and move them forward so that you can continue to advance on your goal. Not saying it has to be a month or even a year, but just knowing that you can do hard things here, you can do hard things in life. And maybe that restaurant, art gallery, you'll never know if you're good enough if you don't try that either.
Yeah. I mean, that is when we were doing our self-reflections this afternoon, just kind of going over the whole weekend about like different key takeaways that we had. One of mine was definitely being brave is always worth it, because like you said, even if you fail, it feels so much better failing after you tried than not trying at all. The mental clarity that you have knowing that you at least gave it a shot feels so much better. And that's with like anything, like with doing a really hard workout. I'm like, oh, I don't know, can I actually deadlift 175? Like, oh, I shouldn't even try, because then I won't be able to put all of the reps on my tracker. It's like, what a stupid way to think about it. Like, no, I need to try it to see if I can. Then if I can't do all of the reps, well, now I know that was my max. Right. Same with the different challenges that we've had this weekend. It's been a combination of like scary things that we've had to do and also really fun things, but they both required like giving it a try. We've done a lot of things that I've never done before, and you're scared to do them and try them and fail, but you're not going to know if you're capable of doing it if you don't give it a shot.
Exactly. And that is anyone listening, I hope that is a key message. You're never going to know if you don't give it a try. And I think it goes back to when you talked about people pleasing, there's probably also an element of fear of failure, because if you fail, you're not pleasing, or at least that could be the perception. But
Definitely.
also not thinking that people will still love you even if you try and fail.
Yeah, that is definitely part of the things that I had to work through for the Misogi, and that I'm probably still going to have to work through, or not just trying things that I have a pretty good idea that I'll do okay on.
Mm-hmm.
I need to try the things that I really, truly don't know if I can do them or not.
Yeah. And you're going to. I mean, the marathon is not for the faint-hearted.
Yeah. That one's terrifying. I still am like, what the heck?
Don't let it scare you. It can't be worse than Angel's Landing.
Yes, that's true. That is true. That's a good point.
Yeah.
That was like one of the biggest cookies I could possibly put in my cookie jar.
Yep. When you're training, when you're training for your half, just remember that, pull that cookie out of your cookie jar every now and again to say, I did my momentum Misogi. I made it up to the top of Angel's Landing. I can run 13.1 miles.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I'm not looking down thousands and thousands of feet. I can just do this one step at a time.
Yeah. And you're not carrying 42 pounds on your back.
Yeah, big time.
How does it feel to be supported by this community while you're navigating these challenges?
Oh my gosh, it's amazing. Like, it's really what helps get you through them. Like, even when you are the one like helping somebody else, it's gives you the confidence, like, hey, they think that I'm good enough to help them. Like, going down Angel's Landing, I was going down first, so I was the one sort of like leading the way, and I'm like, why do they trust me to do this? Like, I've never done this. Why do they think I know where the good footholds are? But the person behind me was scared and was like, hey, I need somebody to go in front of me because I just need to be able to see where you take steps.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, I'm not a professional, but I'll go first. And it's really incredible just having this community that you can support, and that they definitely support you, like an unbelievable amount, even virtually, which is kind of crazy. You think like you couldn't have that deep of a connection with somebody virtually, but I have really awesome friends from VSA that have really encouraged me and supported me and made me feel capable of doing things that I didn't think I would be able to do.
And which is why community is, it's really, I don't think people understand how important community is, because doing things alone only takes you so far. And that knowing that there'll be someone there to give you a hand up if you need it, or to rub you on your back for, when you have those challenges that maybe don't go the way you thought they would go. That's where, that social connection, that community becomes so important.
It is. It's really critical. And even people who think that they can do it alone, like I was definitely one of those people. I consider myself very introverted and don't like sharing a lot of the time. But you really you kind of wash that part away when you're in VSA, because everybody is so welcoming and so supportive that you're not scared of sharing, because they're just so open themselves. And when a lot of people are vulnerable and open to you, it kind of helps break down that barrier and make you understand okay, if they're willing to share their deep dark secrets, I can definitely share mine, because you're in a safe environment and of mostly women too, which helps because it makes you feel kind of empowered and safe.
And has your journey inspired anyone else in your life, in your family? I don't know if they're also vegan or if you're on this journey on your own.
So my husband is vegan. He didn't go vegan at the same time as me. He took his own time. I didn't force him to be vegan. But I just kind of set the example and was like, hey, this is what I'm going to be cooking. If you want to eat it, you can. Otherwise, you can make your own. And he took not that long, really, only about a year after me. So he's been vegan for quite a long time, too. And it's funny, like, I really wanted to inspire certain people in my life, like my parents and, different family members. I was really hoping that they would go vegan and maybe push them a little too hard sometimes, because I really care and it did so much for me that I really wanted them to experience those same benefits. But the people that I ended up inspiring was my mother-in-law, Julie. It's so amazing to me because I have always looked up to her for health and fitness. I remember in high school watching her run a half marathon, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like my boyfriend's mom, is my husband now, but at the time, my boyfriend's mom is like an Olympian. This is so crazy. And so for me to inspire her through health and fitness just feels really surreal almost. Right. I knew that she was like open-minded enough to try vegan food. Like whenever she visits us, she eats vegan and she loves it. And she's, really willing and accepting, which is, you can't say the same for a lot of, friends and family. But I didn't really know that I would inspire her to go all in and become vegan and join VSA. And she's doing amazing. Like she's blowing me away with her progress and her commitment. Like she's always been a social butterfly, so much more so than me. So I knew she would do great in the community, but she's just doing amazing and feeling so good and like reverse aging somehow. She looks like so young. So that's been really incredible. And now she is having a ripple effect on other family members that I never would have thought, like people that live in like rural areas that probably don't even have vegan restaurants, like her sisters now are trying different vegan recipes because they see how well she's doing. And that's just like, that's incredible. I mean, that's the goal, but when you actually see it happen, it's amazing.
The ripple effect is real, and it may take time, but when people are ready and willing to receive the message, and I mean, the two of you are inspiring. So it's great to have your family be able to see that and to know, one, you're not starving, that you're strong, that
definitely not starving,
that you're healthy, you're not just eating romaine lettuce, right?
Yeah.
There's one thing you mentioned that I'd love to unravel a little bit, which is your concern about self-sabotage and being able to sustain everything that you have achieved, because the sustainment is the goal. Hearing you describe your Fitbit metrics and the up and down, that those cycles of weight loss and weight gain are not healthy over the long term. What do you think you need to make this stick forever?
So I feel like I need somehow to be able to continue the accountability, because as much as I love VSA, I can't be in it forever and ever. I need somehow to build that accountability into my life and that community into my life. And just knowing, like being able to trust myself, I think is a big part of it too. I know what makes me feel good and feel my best. So why shouldn't I just always honor that? It's kind of hard to understand and like commit to the things that we know fuel our tomorrow selves, because whatever, different challenges we go through, different life struggles, you're stressed at work, and so you end up overeating on something, or, you skip a workout because you didn't sleep well, stuff like that. I guess I have this like worry that those kinds of things will start to accumulate and somehow I will revert back into my bad habits. Even though I've worked so hard and built in these good habits, built these good habits. So I am not 100% sure what I need to like finally get rid of this belief. Mm-hmm. It might be something that I contend with for a little bit longer. Mm-hmm. But I know that I have the tools. Yeah. And I just need to trust myself and understand that, let's say, even if I do end up overeating for a period of time, I know what I need to do to get back to where I'm feeling good and feeling healthy. Mm-hmm. And I'll never go so far off the rails that I have completely like lost touch with mm-hmm. how I know I need to treat myself.
Are you eating intuitively right now?
No. So I still track everything. Mm-hmm. I think part of because I need that reassurance of exactly what I'm eating. I am eating at maintenance and sometimes above maintenance. Uh-huh. But I still track everything that I eat.
But you're not following a meal plan.
No. Yeah, that's true. I'm just, cooking whatever I feel, and intuitive eating in the way that I'm kind of gravitating towards what foods I think my body wants. Mm-hmm.
And using the tracking as a form of accountability.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I have that accountability built in. Yeah.
So if you could tell Katie in 2 years, or if you could send a letter to Katie in 2 years, what would you tell her about, just from what you think she needs to hear in terms of words of encouragement from you to know this is all going to be okay?
Katie in 2 years. Hopefully it doesn't have as much anxiety as I still do. I started out really high, and so it's gotten better and better. So maybe in 2 years I won't have any issues with anxiety. But she would probably still need the reassurance that it's not about body image, for one thing. I think that's still something that kind of nags at me now. I catch myself doing body checks a lot, like checking, did it happen? Did I finally like revert back? So I would need to write like, look, you are taking care of your body. Just keep doing it. Fuel yourself in a way that you know is going to make you feel stronger and healthier. And keep moving in a way that makes you feel stronger and healthier mm-hmm. and feel good, and build up your resilience for when you're older so that you can continue doing the things that you enjoy to do. I think that's a big one, maybe just shifting a mindset of wanting to look a certain way and really just wanting to be capable and strong in my older years. Yeah.
And where do you think that body image concern, what's the source? Because you're a beautiful woman. So why, and you're not alone. Why do we still struggle around our body image?
Oh man. I mean, it's everywhere. Like I definitely don't want to blame my mom or any of the women in my family, but I know for sure that all of us in my family have struggled with it. And it's just kind of, different comments from, relatives of, oh, you're looking a little bit wider than you were last time I saw you. And,
ouch.
Oh, why don't you try this and that? And, maybe you shouldn't be eating that. And, mm-hmm. Comments like that.
Subliminal messages.
Yeah. And it's just constant, really. And it still happens now, even when it's a positive thing, like, oh, Katie, you look amazing. Like, you've lost so much weight. Like, what are you doing? And then sometimes like they'll see the amount of food I bring to work is like massive, right? Because I'm eating, a lot of veggies and a lot of protein and stuff. So my lunches look like obscenely huge. And they're like, wow, you can eat all that, like even with your diet? And I'm like, yeah, I'm not on a diet for one thing.
Right.
And yeah, this is how I feel myself. So it's happens even now, even when I feel good in my body and I feel healthy, it's all around you and the people that you're around and the messages that you see on TV. It's especially for women. I know men experience it too, but you just have so much pressure to look perfect and be thin and slender and skinny. And for me, I'm only 29 and I feel just like I wasted being young. Like I didn't have the body I wanted, and now I'm losing my chance. So there's also like a little bit of fear of that. Like, I'm never going to have the like perfect young body that other people had. So part of it, yeah, is I think definitely from just since I was little.
Yeah. And that's the same for a lot between our things that happened when we were younger and then just all of the layers of society and people giving us these subliminal messages about how we should look, how we should eat, how we should act. It all adds up and it just, we get in our heads about it. And it's hard to get out of your head.
Definitely.
You mentioned that you called on your alter ego while you were...
Yes.
Is your alter ego worried about her body image?
No, like it doesn't even occur. Yeah, I'll say my alter ego. It's kind of a silly one. It's the dogged badger, and it's because my dad would see me doing like a really hard or tedious task, something that maybe a normal person would quit, like I don't know, chipping ice or doing a really hard brain puzzle or something, and he'd be like, oh, there's my dogged badger. She's just won't
sweet.
give up. She's gonna do it until it's done. So that's my alter ego. And yes, I definitely called on that while I was doing Angel's Landing on the parts where I really didn't want to keep going because I was petrified. It's like, nope, I set a task. I'm doing it. I'm the dogged badger. I'm going to finish this, by God.
I'm going to get there till it's done.
Exactly.
Katie, thank you. This has been an amazing conversation. Do you have any words of advice, wisdom to share with other women who are listening to this about their mindset, about finding a way to achieve their goals and feeling good about themselves along the journey?
Yeah, I would say one thing that I didn't really consider before when I was on my health and fitness journey was improving my strength. Like that has been so huge for me. And yes, it's been physical, obviously, but it's been such a huge mental empowering moment that I wasn't expecting. So that would definitely be my advice. I know the gym is always full of dudes in the workout areas with the weights and stuff. I work out from home, so I don't have to deal with that. But that I would highly encourage any woman, doesn't matter how old you are. I've seen some badass ladies in VSA that are in their 70s that lift more than I do. So there's really no limit. And I would also say if you can kind of get some knowledge about nutrition, it's really helpful and empowering to understand just some of the basics. You don't necessarily have to be vegan, but just understanding like calorie density and the different nutrients that you want to try to hit and the protein that would be ideal for you is really huge. It's not something that a lot of people understand and know. And that's, I think, part of why people fall into these different diet traps, because they just want something that'll work quickly and they don't understand that you need to build a foundation of knowledge to do it the right way so that you can do it for the rest of your life.
And that That is key. The foundation to do it for the rest of your life, because and the strength training is core. I'm glad you mentioned that, because we don't want to be frail, older vegans. We want to be fit, healthy vegans till our last day. And that resistance training is so important for strong body, strong mind. And I agree with you. There's no age limit. If you're not lifting today and you're 80, that's okay. Start lifting tomorrow safely. You're not going to lift what Katie lifts, but there's never, if not now, when? There's never a time when it's too late to say, I'm going to focus on my health.
Yeah, exactly. Some advice from my Nana that she told my mom and me, like, well, what else are you doing? Like, you're not doing anything else. You might as well just try it. Just because, yeah, maybe you could have started it a few years ago. Well, you didn't. So you're here now. Yeah. What else are you doing? Just try it.
Just try it. Yeah. Katie, thank you. This has been a pleasure having you on the podcast. And I can't wait to bring you back sometime when you have your restaurant and your art gallery. And we can share with the world what you've done.
Thank you so much, Daphne. This has been amazing.
And I hope all of you have enjoyed this conversation with Katie, and that it's a reminder that, one, you are never finished. And whatever goals you may be aspiring to, some of them may take you 5 years, 10 years, but never change the destination. The journey may be different, but always know that you have a community of people who will support you, who will love you no matter what, whether you succeed or whether you fail, and that you can do hard things. Thank you for joining us for today's episode of Thrive on Plants. We'd love to have you as part of the community. Feel free to join us on thriveonplantslife.com, and you'll be able to hear and see and be part of that same empowering community of women that Katie talked about, because our goal is to help you all thrive on plants and live with purpose. Take care, and I'll see you on the next episode. The content provided in this podcast is intended solely for informational and educational purposes. It's not designed to replace professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. While I'm a doctor, I'm not your doctor. Always seek the guidance of your physician or other qualified healthcare provider with any questions you may have regarding your health, medical conditions, or treatments. Our goal is to provide accurate and up-to-date information. The discussions and views shared on this podcast reflect the opinions of the host and guest, and they may not align with your unique health needs. Decisions related to your health and wellness should be made in consultation with your healthcare team, because they understand your specific circumstances. Thanks for joining us on this journey to thrive on plants, and I hope you enjoy the future episodes.